Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Fantasy Show, brought to you by Over the Bar. Checking in this morning once more for another big show ahead of match week 14. Joined this morning by Rune, as per usual. How are you doing, Rune? And you looking forward to some more Bundesliga action this weekend?
Yeah, just a few match days remaining before Christmas, so it's all about enjoying it while we can, and a few exciting games to come. So looking forward to it.
Oh, sorry, bit of an internet blob on my end. Bear with us 1 second. Oh, my comment section has absolutely just disappeared entirely. And it is frozen on my screen. Bear with, we'll be operational in 1 second. Right. Oh, there we go. Just about. I'll get the defenders up on screen. Right, Rune, do you want to just crack on then with your defenders? If you can hear me, hopefully.
Yeah, I can.
Now that I think I'm back on.
Yeah.
Back on normal timing. Brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, we'll run through your 3 defender picks for this week, and then we'll run through some questions as and when they come in.
Yeah. First off, I just wanted to mention Daniel Peretz in the Bayern goal. I think if you are paying attention to the league and to the Bundesliga news, you know that that Peretz will be in goal for Bayern until Christmas, and he costs just 1 million. So just wanted to mention that makes sense to bring him in this week, either as your starting goalkeeper and then just get another 1 million goalkeeper, or combine him with someone else to have 2 goalkeepers. Anyway, my defenders. Budget pick is Lukas Ullrich from Gladbach. Gladbach at home against Holstein Kiel. So yeah, that's a game to target. And he costs just 5 million, so pretty good enabler at the back. Has played quite well after being given the chance by Seoane. So not expecting anything like outstanding from him, but yeah, should do well in a game that Gladbach will probably dominate, and then he can free up funds for other players. Mid-price pick is Upamecano, who's just he's a player who's really thriving with the new scoring system. He scored over 500 points last week, so that means he's now the defender with the highest average points per game now. And I know he scored in that game, but if you take away the goal, he's still done pretty well just by winning duels and making passes. And finally, Maximilian Mittelstadt. Just giving him a mention because he's very expensive, but Stuttgart's last 2 games before Christmas are really attractive. So Stuttgart are also a team that you could look to invest in, and Mittelstadt's ownership isn't that high. So he's a player that is capable of getting past 300 points on his day. And Heidenheim are on a lot of problems at the moment, on a pretty crazy winless streak, and they also lost last night. So, and Stuttgart, on the other hand, just are coming off a really, really good win in the Champions League. So it's a game I feel Stuttgart should have a good chance of winning, and that's why Mittelstadt is a good pick, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He will be key for VfB going forward, and what we might see, the return of Nick Voltemata. So swinging in some crosses for the big man and Demirovic, might get him some good opportunities and points. So thank you for running us through those, Rune. Let's come to some questions. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone who's tuning in with us right now live. Thank you all very much for tuning in and firing in some questions for us. William Brown, Jay's back as well, which is great. Kanan, Typo14. So yeah, thanks all for saying hello. Let's get straight into some of these questions. I'll double check socials as well in case people have put them on there. Right, first one in from Jay that we'll have a quick look at is in a straight shootout between Rorter and Ulrich. Who would you go for and why? Is Mittelstedt really worth the 17 million price tag? I mean, I can probably cover the Mittelstedt part of that, and his price is quite high at the moment. Well, I say at the moment, his price is just quite high, full stop, because it's not changed. He obviously myself and Travis did the match reaction show on Wednesday. So if you haven't caught that, make sure you do check that out. He was fine in that, but I think just defensively, he still sometimes is struggling. As long as he's playing with Fulick, he'll link up really well. He'll get those passes in. He'll get those crosses in. High chances of him performing well this weekend, but not sure he's necessarily worth 17 mil. Over to you, Rune, for the Rorter versus Ulrich question, because yeah, that's a tricky one for me.
Probably Rorter, because I think he has a much higher ceiling. He's already shown that he can score goals, and he's really involved for Union. And it's a game that I think, he could get a key role at home against Bochum. That's the kind of game where they need someone to create something. They need players who are capable of creating chances and scoring goals there. So Rode, if you can afford him, is a very good option this week as well. And no, not sure about Mittelstedt's price tag either. I also sort of mentioned him because sometimes when I have to pick a premium pick, it's the same guys I mention every week, and just wanted to give him a mention this week, especially because Stuttgart are in form. They're facing an out of form team, and they have two really good fixtures coming up. So if you can fit him in, if you can find that extra, like maybe 3 or 4 million compared to someone else, then it could be worth it. It could be worth a gamble, but sure, you can spend that money elsewhere, and that could also be the best solution.
Yeah, absolutely. One comment and question in from Kanan. What do we think about Brown? Should I keep or sell him? If I sell him, who best to replace with only 5 million in the bank? Rune, we're starting to see a bit of a Frankfurt drop off, I suppose, in the last week and weeks or so. They seem to have been, just knocked out of sync a little bit. So is it maybe time to get rid of Brown, but also tricky to replace him with only 5 mil in the bank?
I don't know. Depends on a few things. I think that he will start, and I think he will start as a left midfielder because he didn't play in the Europa League last night. He's not eligible to play there, as I said last week. So I think it makes a lot of sense to give him a start this week. And then in an attacking role as well. Still a bit of a doubt. Could also, he could also start at left back. But Teade can play there as well. And left midfield, he's competing with Ansgar Knauf. So he's not 100% nailed, but I think all things considered, looks like he'll start. Difficult away game against Leipzig. I know Leipzig are not in their best form at the moment, but they just beat Frankfurt in the cup last week, 3-0. So I think they'll remember that game fondly, and they'll maybe give Leipzig some extra confidence. On the other hand, could also give Frankfurt a bit of determination to show that they can do better. So that's I have Brown in my team right now, so that's the considerations I'm making at the moment. And if I were to sell him for a player at the same price, it would be Ulrich from Gladbach.
Yeah, very good. I think that's probably the hardest game to call this weekend, fixture-wise. I know the lads went through it last night on the prediction show, so do make sure you check that out as well. But yeah, that's a really hard one for me to call at the moment. And a comment in from David T. As Peretz will be starting, do you think it's worth to get him as a starting keeper and boost midfield or forwards, or too much of a risk? David, I think that's pretty much what Rune, you were alluding to as we started the show, isn't it? So yeah, sounds like it could be a good idea for a one-off, or obviously at least until Neuer returns.
Yeah, I think so. That could work out. I haven't been overly impressed with Labovic. He had that one good game against Bayern, and where he made a lot of saves. Despite conceding 3 goals, he actually picked up a lot of points in that game. And Augsburg are playing Leverkusen this week, so we could see something similar, maybe. We don't know. Generally speaking, Labovic hasn't been like getting a lot of points. I'm actually considering making that move. Not expecting a lot from Peretz, but okay, if he gets around 100 points, maybe a bit more, that's okay. If it enables you to get someone like Sergio Girassi in up front, for example, or another premium midfielder. So sure, could be worth the risk, and I'm very much considering such a move.
Thank you very much for that, David. Very good question indeed. Right, let us move on to our midfielders and the picks that Rune has gone for this week. So again, over to yourself, Rune, to run us through them.
Yeah, starting off with Tim Skarke from Union, who is listed as a midfielder in the game, but who started the last 2 games up front. And obviously that's a big plus. Union have a great home game, as we talked about earlier, against Bochum. So that makes Skarke an interesting option, and I don't actually think he's been doing that well for Union. I was quite impressed with him last season when he was at loan at Darmstadt, and was by far their biggest difference maker up front and scored a lot of goals out of nothing for them. So he is capable of doing something on his own and making a difference. So I just think if you feel certain enough about him keeping his starting place, then he could be worth a shot. Owned by 0% at the moment, so has the potential to be a great differential. Mid-price pick Jamie Giddens. I think I also mentioned him last week. Just one of the best value picks available right now. I think at 10 million. That's a really low price for Giddens in the form he's in at the moment. He scored over 200 points in 5 of his last 6 games, and almost got 400 points last week against Gladbach. In addition to that, Dortmund have a nice fixture against Hoffenheim at home. So can't see why he shouldn't have another productive game. And then finally, my premium pick, long time fantasy favorite Kevin Stöger, who was back in the lineup last week against Dortmund. Also scored a penalty that game. So I'm thinking he'll get another chance against Kiel at home. It's a game Gladbach should dominate. Don't really think Sevane has any reason to drop Stöger, based on the Dortmund game where he scored and had a pretty solid game. So should start. Still a bit of doubt about his starting role, with Robin Hack also an option. So that's the only sort of worry I have about him. But if he starts, then he's surely one of the best midfield picks this week.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantasy favourite of everyone's is Kevin Stöger. One question in from Jay, which a good one, mentioning a couple of young ballers here in the shape of Mio and Bischoff, and whether they're worth holding onto this week. And is there anyone else sub 10 mil worth considering in midfield? Obviously, Mio played a big part in the Stuttgart match midweek. He was exceptional in the second half. he was very wasteful in the first half, but obviously has a very high ceiling. And with those better fixtures that Rune you've already mentioned, certainly worth a second thought. Obviously, if he's already in your team, then definitely worth thinking about holding on to. Bischoff, tricky one for him, but he's been playing well and also been getting goals in a Hoffenheim side that are still very much struggling. They played out a board draw last night in the Europa. I don't know how much he played or if he played in that, though. I'm sure Rune, you'll know more. And then, do you want to walk us through any midfielders who are sub 10 mil worth considering?
Yeah, I don't know about Bischoff. It's a difficult fixture. I don't think it gets any better than him at 5 million at least in midfield. I don't think I could find anyone who offers the same kind of potential. Should still do probably get around maybe 150 points, maybe a bit less, I think. That's my gut feeling projection. But sure, if you spend a little more, you could get someone with a lot more potential this week, I think. Mio, hasn't been living up to the expectations in the Bundesliga lately, but then he had that game in the Champions League that should surely boost his confidence. And Stuttgart's fixtures are great before Christmas, so definitely worth holding on to, I think. Players below 10 million in midfield. I think Rieder is priced at 9 million, but I don't think he'll start. I think that's too risky, at least. He was also very good in the Champions League, but unlikely to start probably. And then we have someone like Frank Honorat at 10 million. So not below 10 million, but still pretty good price actually for Honorat, I think. If you need someone else, an alternative to Stöger, I think he's a very good alternative. I don't think there's that many other midfielders that springs to mind. So you probably need at least 5 million more from Bischoff to get someone with real potential this week in midfield.
That is a tricky one to get anyone the same potential as Bischoff, the same money. David asking about Amiri. Should I hold or move on to someone else like maybe Stöger? Obviously, Amiri will be part of the Mainz team that take on Bayern this weekend. So, tricky fixture for him. Of course, any chance that Mainz have of taking points against Bayern, he'll be central too, and that forward line of Mainz is really starting to click right now. But is it time to move Amiri out just for this week maybe, and someone like Stöger who has a good chance of pushing you up further in the league, because people may not be savvy to put in Stöger in their team just yet?
I think it makes sense to move him out this week, and I say that as a big Amiri fan, as you know, Rory. He's a player I really like to have in my fantasy team, but it's probably a game that where Bayern will be dominant and sit on around 70% possession or something like that. So Amiri won't be as much on the ball as we're used to, and that should limit his chances of getting points. So I think someone like Stöger makes sense. Someone like Enzo Mio, Frank Honorat, players who actually are just a bit cheaper. Stöger is more expensive, but the others are cheaper. But a lot of good options in the same price category.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we've got another comment here as well. Kanan saying, do you think Grifo is a good option for this week? throw that one straight over to you, Rune. Obviously involved in the Friday night fixture this evening, so we'll be able to at least see in advance, obviously whether he's starting or not, which hopefully he should be. In what should be a pretty exciting match, one that could be a bit end to end.
Yeah. He was surprisingly benched last time out. Didn't really see that coming, especially because he'd just been benched in the cup before that. But then he was subbed on after around an hour and made a difference, provided the assist for Freiburg's equalizer, and pretty much proved that he should be starting, and he will be starting this week. I'm pretty sure of that. But anyway, we can see it tonight, and I still think he's a great option on set pieces, which alone makes him a very good option, unless he gets a penalty and misses it, like he's done the last few times. But sure, I think at the price, still worth the money. Pretty difficult game to call, I think, because Wolfsburg have actually been getting some great results lately, and Freiburg, on the other hand, have not really been up to the standards we saw from them early in the season. But anyway, Grifo should, he has a really high floor, so should do well.
Yeah, he does. Wolfsburg, the second best travelling team this season in the Bundesliga as well, so they might fancy their chances at Europa Park. But yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you for that. One more from David here, and then we'll move on to our strikers. Do you think that Xhaka will be rested? I think he plays nearly every game. Maybe Alonso will give him some rest, or do you think he will start? He is, one of few that Xabi is keen on keeping in his team, and a player that doesn't get too much rest. Exactly, got the nail on the head there, David. A tricky away fixture in Augsburg, who of course are a team who are very strong at home, less so on the road. And I know that this is presenting some interesting predictions last night from Mark and Peter. So, obviously we've got to concentrate on the team lineup more so, and whether Xhaka will be rested. What are your thoughts, Rune, on that one? Do you think Xabi will move things around once more?
I don't think Xhaka will be rested, no. He usually plays every minute, and there's a reason for that. And I think he will, in the last two games, start and play in 90 minutes because Leverkusen need the points in the Bundesliga. They've dropped a lot of points already, and right now they're in great form. They've found like a new sort of system that works for them, and obviously Xhaka is a big, a key player as always in midfield for them. And I think Alonso will be keen just to get 6 points from the last two games before Christmas and just keep that streak going. And that's why he may make a few changes, but taking out Xhaka would be too risky for me, at least, especially given the disappointments they've experienced in the Bundesliga already this season.
Yeah, they need the points simply. They need to get 2 more wins to put any pressure that they can on Bayern. Xhaka will be central to that. Obviously, we've seen the way that he's especially putting teams out in the Champions League. Basically, no strikers. We saw, Nathan Tella was playing as the central striker or the false 9, if you want to call it that. Yeah. So, Grimaldo, Frimpong, all those defensive players are really being pushed up. So, especially someone like Grimaldo, if he's already in your team, there's a good chance that he's going to be playing, in those advanced positions once more. So, thank you for that, David. Let us, move on to our strikers then. We've got them on screen for you, for Rune to run us through your 3 picks, starting with budget and a rare appearance for a Holstein Kiel player.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned him a few times on the show already, Phil Harris, just because I think he's the best budget option up front. One of the few bright spots for Holstein Kiel this season, and has has actually done quite well points-wise and also scored a few goals despite them losing most games. And I'm not that impressed with Gladbach defensively. It's not like it wouldn't be super surprising to see Kiel at least score once. So yeah, for a formation with where you if you want to play 4-4-2, then you could get eyes on the bench for just 2 million more, and that's worth considering, I think. Mid-price pick Marvin Duksch, Werder set piece taker, pretty much their attacking talisman. On 8 assists and 4 goals in all competitions this season, which I think is quite interesting for a striker to have. Twice as many assists as goals. But that also says something about his role in the team. And they have a good schedule, 2 good games before Christmas. And this week they're playing, who are they actually playing this week? St. Pauli, I think, away from home. Good game for Duksch. Then finally, Serhou Guirassy, coming off the back of a really impressive performance against Barcelona. And he will now be up against Hoffenheim, who haven't really impressed me this season, not under Matarazzo and not under Ilsa either. I could see Guirassy having a really good match day, and he's a player that, if I can find the space for him, I would like to have him up front and give him the star. So we'll see if I can find the money, because 19 million is a lot, of course, but should have a lot of potential this week, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ownership percentages are interesting on some of these players. Like Halles having 9% seems really, really high for him. So that's quite interesting that he might be in, a lot of teams as a third striker, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then Guirassy down at 5% is quite surprising, given that, obviously there's a lot of, well, we all assume that this is still a game too early for Harry Kane to return. So, obviously we're doing this Friday morning. There's still plenty of time for those percentages to change a little bit throughout the day. But, very interesting stuff, and some top picks there for sure. Jay picking up here, asking about Guirassy or Kleindienst this week. Obviously, one comes with a much cheaper price tag. Their weekly scores have been very similar. To be fair, like when I was looking at the actual top goal scorers list just the other day, and looking at where Guirassy sat, it shocked me that he'd only had, I think it's 6 league goals, and there are a few players that are ahead of him. For example, I think Demirovic has got 7. So obviously Champions League goals he's been huge for, and he was again midweek. I think with the matchups, I think I'm going all in on Guirassy, to be honest. I think he's going to have a huge game. I think he could get a lot of points against the Hoffenheim side. That, other than that RB Leipzig light-up match for Ilsa, it's been pretty turgid, hasn't it? So I'm saying Guirassy. Rune, he's saying Guirassy or Kleindienst.
That's a tough one. Both, ideally. Maybe in hindsight, I should have chosen Kleindienst as my mid-price pick, because I also think he has a lot of potential this week, especially for the price tag, which is not that high. But with Guirassy, remember, he was out for like until October or something like that with an injury. And since then I think he's after that he just hit the ground running, and right now he's really on fire. So I think if you can fit Guirassy in at 5% ownership at the moment, that's really interesting. But obviously I'd like Kleindienst as well. So ideally both.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I loved Guirassy when he was at Stuttgart, but it's still a bit painful for me, clearly. Moving on from Kanan, should I keep Openda? Leipzig assets are a strange one right now, because yeah, they're just in this very strange place performance-wise. Both Openda and Sheshko are very dangerous and very good potential players. In this match, I wonder if he's worth it because will Leipzig have a bit more of the ball, and therefore will Frankfurt actually that maybe defend a little bit deeper and deny him that space potentially to run into and maybe have as much of an impact. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I really don't know how that game's going to go. But yeah, your thoughts, Rune, without me waffling on there.
No, I don't think he's worth it. Not worth his price tag. And yeah, he's not really been living up to expectations. And I think there are better options, better alternatives who are cheaper, like Dux, Kleindienst, Demirovic, and it would also see if you can find 4 million more and then get Girassi in. And also remember Leipzig have Bayern next week. So yeah, it's two pretty tough games. Frankfurt are not easy to play against either. So find someone with a better schedule, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point, to be fair. David asking, is it worth getting Girassi and Kleindienst and dropping Dushk and Marmouche? Well, obviously, Dushk is a player that Rune's highlighted already as a player that is, a very good pick with the fixture. As you mentioned, the assists, very similar sort of role or season he's having, as you said, with the assists, kind of like a season that Kramaric had. Was it either last season or the season before where he just got bags and bags of assists, but not many goals?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I mean, Marmouche has had a bit of a drop off because Frankfurt have had a bit of a drop off. Still has potential, but yeah, again, with that fixture, interesting thinking there from David and definitely worth asking.
Yeah. Could be worth it. Probably with Kleindienst and Dux, depends on who you trust more. Kleindienst probably has the better fixture this week. But then with Dux, he can also, he takes corners and free kicks as well and can get points from assists. So that gives him like an extra dimension. With Marmouche, yeah, he showed last night after coming on that, yeah, what he's capable of, and he made a whole lot of difference for Frankfurt and scored a goal in the Europa League game. But it is a tough fixture for them, despite the problems Leipzig have had this season. It is a much more difficult fixture than the one Kleindienst is facing, the one Dux is facing, and the one Girassi is facing. So, yeah, I think that's surely worth considering. And Girassi and Kleindienst, that's a good striking duo this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good questions there, and that pretty much wraps us up this morning. Then, so yeah, thank you all for getting involved. Some great questions. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and we/Rune has provided you all with as many good tips as we possibly can do ahead of match week 14. So all there is left to say is just a few final bits of admin. Do make sure you're liking these videos. Do make sure you comment in, getting your questions in, whatever it might be. It's all very much appreciated, and we appreciate everyone that tunes in, watches with us, because it's a great community, whether it's the fantasy show, predictions, etc. And do make sure you sub to help grow the channel. Big shout out, of course, to Bulinews. Need to make sure that you're following them on whatever social media platform you are on. They are on Blue Sky, as well as X. Obviously, you can find them online as well. All the best fantasy football tips, match previews, reports, long reads, whatever it might be. Make sure you check them out ASAP. We are also on all socials, as you can imagine, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. So all there for you to enjoy. We'll be back with you on Monday to review it all once more. But yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy the footy. Thank you, Rune, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers all.
Bye.